Hello, Grace, and welcome back to Cover to Cover. Today is March 21st, and we are covering Deuteronomy 31, verses 30, all the way to the end of 32, chapter 32, and then also Psalm 90. Today, this is going to have three parts. The first part is a song that Moses teaches the congregation of Israel. And then Moses heads up to Mount Nebo and where he awaits his death. This is what God has commanded, that he will not enter the promised land. And so he's going to go up and he's going to be able to look at it from afar. And then finally, we'll look briefly at Psalm 90. So let's start. What is the first thing that we have going on? Is Moses has this song that he teaches the people of Israel. If you look closely at it towards the end, that's the last thing he says to Joshua, is make certain that this song is taught to the people of Israel and that they recite it. And this song that he recites is a recapitulation. It's kind of a summary of really everything that's in the covenant. The whole book of Deuteronomy has been recapitulated in this one song. And so there's this provision for people to carry the word of the Lord, to carry the law and the covenant with them wherever they go in the form of this song. And so this becomes a very important part of the covenant right here. And we also have this idea of a liturgy, is that the songs that we sing in church aren't just fun things that we sing. They're reaffirmations of faith. They're a reminder of what our faith is. And similarly, this is what's happening here. Immediately after the covenant has been established, Moses is teaching them a song to kind of go over and reaffirm their faith. If you look closely, this song follows this cycle of sin that we see throughout the Bible again and again and again. In the song, he anticipates what? That God chooses his people. 2, that they are blessed. And after receiving this blessing, people tend to get complacent. They forget about God. And then they rebel and they worship other gods. In response to this, God allows his people to fall victim to their own folly. They are punished and deprived of God's protection and his provision. And in that moment, they call and they ask for deliverance, at which point God responds, sends them a deliverer. And this process is just like rinse and repeat. And so we're going to see this most prominently in the book of Judges. If you look closely at this psalm, or this particular song of Moses, you're going to see a lot of romantic imagery there. One of the big ones is the idea of Israel being the apple of his eye. The phrase literally means the little man of the eye, which is like if you ever came so close to somebody that you could see your own reflection in their pupil. That's what God is saying, is that you are the focus of all my attention. He also talks about Israel being his portion, that all the nations were there, and God chose for himself Israel, the best portion. And so he regards Israel as in an exalted position. Next, we've already discussed, is after giving this song, Moses commands Joshua to teach it to the people, and then he obeys the command of God to go up to Mount Nebo. And Moses and Aaron and Miriam, chosen by God to lead the people, all of them disobeyed God at one point or another. And so God says, you will not enter the promised land. I trusted you and you let me down on this one. You did not uphold my glory when I asked you to. And so they're privileged to be able to see it from afar, but they do not enter. Jumping forward, we go to Psalm 90. And again, here's another Psalm of Moses. This one reminds me actually quite a bit of also Psalm 32, one of Pastor Steve's favorites. This is Psalm 32 is the psalm that Corrie ten Boom wrote, or was inspired by when she wrote the song, You Are My Hiding Place. But here, Psalm 90, verse 1, kind of begins with the same idea, that you are my dwelling place. That the idea is that it's not what God does for us or what God can give us, but that God is it. To have God is to have it all. And this is something that we see echoed later in Jesus' high priestly prayer in John 17:3, when he says, this is eternal life, to know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ whom you have sent. is there's this sobering notion of our own mortality, and this idea that wisdom is properly obtained through this recognition of just how impermanent our own lives are, and that to be close to God is to touch the divine and to be close to eternity. That eternity, however it is to be experienced, is only found in the presence of God.